All right, everybody, welcome back. Good morning. We are moving on to a new position today, and that position is center. We're grinding out the centers of this draft, and I don't think I need to explain why it's a position of note. I don't think I have to explain why the Seahawks might need one. Oluwatimi is all right. A lot of people like him more than I do. I feel like there's a little bit of a ceiling there. I think he'll be an okay starter at best. I'm not really seeing much growth potential for him because he did come into the league as a relatively, I don't want to say finished product, but he was closer to his ceiling than most players. And I don't know what Jalen Sundell is. So drafting a really good blue chip, blue chip first center prospect should be on the table. So there aren't a lot, although, again, I do want to stress, and I'm going to stress this with any offensive line position, it's often very hard to know where players are going to land. So we're talking about guys that I think will play center. Some of them could easily end up playing guard. You never know. All right. So this first video is going to be the top 100 guards that are going to go in the first 2 days in all likelihood. There aren't many of them. Center is not a position that is heavily coveted in the draft, generally speaking. It's pretty rare that you see a center go in the first round. It's almost unheard of for a center to go in the top 10. But we do have one guy that has a real chance this year. It's Gray Zabel, North Dakota State, another small school guy that's gotten a lot of attention. Although North Dakota State barely feels like a small school anymore because they get a lot of attention. 23 years old. He's big, right? He's much bigger and taller than the average center, but his arm length is probably going to keep him at center in the NFL. I know he played other positions in college, but most people anticipate Gray Zabel ending up at center. I agree with that. 9.5-inch hands are okay. He's a great athlete. Vert and broad were both off the charts for a center. Bench press was okay too. Didn't do the other testing, but his testing would have been good if he did it. Big boards, we've got first round and we've got second round. The database has him at 33, so just outside the first round, but still well within that blue chip for a center area. PFF grade was sterling in 2024. Only allowed 7 total quarterback pressures in 2024. Did rack up a lot of penalties, just like he did the previous year, but other than that, his results were spectacular. And remember, he was playing outside at North Dakota State. He will not do that in the NFL. So, yeah, you don't find a lot of guys that weigh 312 pounds and can move like this. Rare athletic ability, very special. He's also got enough strength to anchor up when you try to bull rush him. He's not somebody who will be bull rushed lightly. He has experience starting pretty much everywhere. He's played snaps all over the place for North Dakota State. Now, again, that doesn't mean he's going to be able to play tackle. It just means that he's built familiarity everywhere. And I think that that is going to serve him well in some capacity. He does have leg drive. If you get him into a open up a run lane situation, he can do it. He's really good moving from target to target. He hits his block, goes to his next target, hits the block, goes to the next target. Really, really good at moving down his assignments. Had a lot of reps in college, a lot of experience. And just generally speaking, he's a smart football player. He's very savvy when it comes to understanding how to play the position and what to do. Now, 6'6" is tough for a center. And you would prefer that he was a little bit shorter. Just because this is so rare, you have to wonder if he's going to be able to pull it off. The short arms are a bit of a problem, even at center. Defenders do kind of slip off of him. He doesn't maintain his engagement all that well. He is a penalty machine, 15 penalties the last 2 years, averages more than 1 penalty every 2 games he plays. He's fundamentally weak in some ways that he gets away with because he's at North Dakota State. Little things like hand placement, little things like angles. These are things that are going to kill him at the pro level, but not at North Dakota State. So he does have fundamental things to work on. That is fixable, but his height and his arm length is not. So I know people love this guy, but I gotta admit, I have some reservations here the more I looked at him. So I have a feeling that he's going to take a little while to find his home in the NFL. He's just got such a weird body type. He's a great athlete. Normally, I fall all over myself for these guys, but 6'6" playing on the inside, that's just not a bet that I'm thrilled to make. And I'd feel differently maybe if he had 35-inch arms to go with it, but then he'd be playing tackle anyway. I don't know. I don't know. The upshot is that there's a chance he also plays guard, which will add value. I do think there's a shot he can play guard. So I'd say mid-second round. I just don't trust his pass protection. So I'm a little bit colder on this guy than the average person right now, I think. All right, moving along here. The next center prospect, the only other center prospect expected to go in the top 100 right now is Jared Wilson of Georgia. 22, 6'3", much more normally sized, 310 pounds, so he's got NFL size. Arm length is okay, 38th percentile for centers. Big hands, though, monstrous hands. This is the guy who blew the roof off at the combine. Had one of the greatest 40s ever for a center prospect. 10-yard split was excellent. Vert was good, really good, actually. Broad jump was incredible. 20-yard shuttle was good. So he is an athletic freak, and he showed some stuff that I don't think people were expecting him to have at the combine. I don't think this kind of testing was anticipated at all. All the big boards that I look at, except for Walter Football, that doesn't have him, had him in the top 100. Aggregate has him 75, so that's like mid-ish third round. Mid to early third. Only has 1 year of production, but it was very clean. Only allowed 6 pressures all season. 3 penalties, no sacks. So you can't really argue with the overall results. So, look, if you want to find the next Jason Kelce, you got to be willing to look at something like this and go, I think I know how to make this work. This guy has movement potential on the level of a Jason Kelce. He's a freak athlete you almost never find at center. And when he was asked to do zone blocking at Georgia, going, climbing to the linebackers or going wide to hit the edges, he looked effective. He's got a good shuffle. He can mirror pass rushers well. His lateral agility is good enough. And he's fundamentally sound, so he gets the most out of his strength and his power. He's not the strongest guy in the world. He's not a massive center or anything like that. But he plays fundamentally well to get the most out of his occasional physical limitations. So there's a lot that I like about Jared Wilson. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to hold up really well against NFL bull rushers. Really strong defenders are going to knock him off his block a little bit, I think. He's really not much of a run blocker in general. He's not going to open up lanes with his leg drive. He's not going to be able to really push to open up big holes. He's just going to be one of these more nimble athletic centers. He does get beat a lot. He's a little bit sloppy sometimes. And while he does have the athletic ability to recover very well, he has to lean on it more than he probably should. So I think he has to get more fundamentally sound. And disappointingly for a center, and maybe this is just because he's got a lack of experience, he's not great diagnosing pressure packages and getting in proper place to handle it. He's not a great twists and stunts guy, So I really like him as potential, but it feels like he's a year away from being much of anything. So he's really fun. If you're in the right scheme, I think he's going to be great. If you use him appropriately, you might have the next Jason Kelce. I didn't just say that name because everyone knows Jason Kelce is good. This guy is an athletic freak, not unlike the Jason Kelce of the world, the Jason Kelces of the world. And there aren't very many of those. So late second round, I'm biting. And that's a little bit higher than most people. I'll admit, I'm a little bit, maybe I'm a little bit over my skis here, but this kind of athletic ability is so rare that I'm going to extend myself a little bit more than I probably should because he is that special potentially. And at the risk of falling in love with somebody who did really, really good at the combine, it's not like the tape is bad. The tape is just flawed. All right, so those are the two high-level center prospects this year. If you want a starting center in this draft, somebody that has a chance to start quickly and has a high probability of making it, it's one of those two guys in all likelihood. There are going to be other guys that we look at later today, but that's the starting point. All right. I will see you guys a little later today. Go Hawks, some more videos very soon. Centers is the name of the game today.